Hi everyone, I'm so happy that you're here to join me for the Way of the Animal podcast. Today's podcast, I've got my friend Rhoda on. We've been friends since before school. I think basically because our parents were friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was at well, my mum worked in the same building as your dad. I think that was how they
Yeah.
probably. But yeah, we've been friends for a very long time, on and off. Just yeah, lots of random things that we used to. We before we started recording this podcast, we just had a little bit of reminiscing, and we thought we
All
better
the crazy
start.
things.
Yeah, we thought we better start. Otherwise, we were just going to sit here reminiscing and not actually do the podcast today.
Exactly. I mean, it would make for some interesting stories.
It would. I mean, yeah, it would be amusing.
Yeah. But probably not what you're really going for with this podcast.
I don't know. Maybe people would get something out of our amusing craziness.
Well, like the time we went away from the old bar and we came back and then your car was turned around the opposite direction. Somebody picked it up and turned it around. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Small
right, okay.
community, that sort of fun.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I'll put the serious face on now.
Oh, you don't need to be serious. It's all it. What I've said with this podcast is just about real conversations and real insights. So conversations go away on tangents, and we do run, and it just makes it all the more interesting. You find out more about people that you're listening about. So, it's all good.
I suppose so, yeah. Yeah, we're quite good at tangents.
So, what spurred me on to contact you about doing the podcast together was I think it was a couple of weeks ago now. You sent me a message talking about how I think it was 10 years ago, was it?
Yeah, 12.
Well, 12 years ago, how excited you were about getting a wheelchair.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I don't use my wheelchair now.
Yeah.
But at that point, it was just like I remember posting it on Facebook, and it was just like I've got a new set of wheels, and I was like exciting as it sounds, it's just a wheelchair. But to me, it was so exciting because it was like some kind of freedom to be able to get out of the house again because I hadn't been able to for so long.
And now you don't need that wheelchair for your freedom.
Now, yeah, with Touchwood, I've not used it for a wee while, so
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I lent it to somebody recently, which is like a massive thing to just be like putting it out of the house, not just sitting at my door ready to go out somewhere. Just somebody needed it, and I was like, yes, you can have it. So I was like, I might need it back. I don't, but I might.
That's a big step as well as like because there's quite an emotional attachment to having gained that wheelchair for your freedom and now realizing that that's not what you need. You've actually got a new set of wheels now.
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's also like all the things that it actually helped me to do because before I had my wheelchair, I was very much housebound and I couldn't walk anywhere, couldn't go to the shop. Like I could walk to the car and then from the car to inside somebody's house or whatever, but I couldn't go anywhere. So it yeah, it's like it's a little I don't know, a little key that unlocked a world to me that had been like lost. So yeah, I suppose it is quite emotional. There's a lot of memories attached to it and things that I got to do that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. Um so yeah, it's been some places that chair.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet you've been off-roading it a lot in that chair. They're not designed for where you've taken it, I bet you.
Yeah, yeah, probably not. Not really.
But you've always
Also, the
had
person that
that.
had to push me.
Yeah, well, the poor person that had to push you, you're like, we're going there. And it's something that I really admired with you is because obviously you've struggled with your mobility and your determination to keep going, to keep positive, to keep moving. And even though sometimes that determination would wane a bit because were really struggling more than usual, you still would just like bounce back up and here you go.
Yeah, I've always been quite determined. Like in anything, if I put my mind to something, it's like I'm going to do that. So when I was about 4, I decided that I was going to be a mechanic. But then as time passed by, I ended up doing like engineering. But that was my thing. I was also going to be a fireman. That didn't work out. And a crofter, which is kind of working out. So put my mind to something, I'm like, that's going to happen, but not the fire thing because I'm scared of heights.
You realize that.
Didn't factor that, and even the determination can't give that.
Yeah.
So,
I can just have seen you even at the stage of your wheelchair. You're still be like, I'll save them. The determination to kick in. You'd be in there in the wheelchair
that's
with
it,
poor
exactly.
person pushing you.
No, unwillingly in fire. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really weird. You lose a lot of yourself when you just can't do what you want to do, and that I just kind of. I think a lot of people are like this. They just keep this determination, this hope, this kind of keep going. Like it may not happen tomorrow, it may not happen next month. I mean, it's taken me years to be able to get to the point where I've loaned my wheelchair to somebody else. Just determination, bloody mindedness that I'm not gonna give in.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like you're facing the fear
yeah,
every
that's
day
it.
because you just, even though you have that fear that you could go back towards having to need the wheelchair, you are still like, well, no, I'm just gonna keep going. I want to do this and I want to do that.
Yep, I'm just not. Yeah, and it's hard when your body like fights against you. It very much feels like there's a lot of times where I felt like it was my like myself against my body, which is not. When I was resenting my body for a long time because it wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. But I think, well, especially working with you and learning that the way that you talk to yourself and the way that you actually treat yourself is really important. And me fighting and swearing at my body on a daily basis wasn't actually doing any good at all. So,
Yeah, I can remember you
um,
talking about like your arms. She's like, my blooming arm, it just won't do what I want it to do. It was just like it wasn't even part of you. This
no,
part over here won't do, and I've spilt my coffee everywhere.
yep, yeah. I used to frequently drop things and it would just get so annoyed that my hand hadn't done what I wanted it to do. That would really get to me. Just be really, really harsh on myself. And yeah, I think you definitely helped me to realize that the way that you talk to yourself is so important. I mean, I still like I laugh when I do things when my leg gives way and I fall over. I laugh now. I don't like get angry with my leg. I'm just like, oh well, there we go. It's let's get back up and go on. It's a different I guess now.
It's
That makes sense.
impressive to change your mindset. Like it's a big thing, and I've talked about it in previous podcasts. Like reprogramming the way you're being with yourself, how you're treating yourself is it takes a lot of dedication and time to really change all that. Impressive.
It, it's it's not easy, is it?
No.
No.
And I still catch myself all the time doing it to myself, being hard
Oh, I
on.
know. Yeah, for other things now, but I sort of calmed down the fight between my brain and my body a
Yeah.
little bit and accepted it. I'm just one whole
Yeah.
and
Amazing.
things don't work, but we just get on with it.
Yeah. But it's like I feel like the more you're doing that, the less things don't work as well.
That's true, I guess, because yeah, you're not. I'm not so focused on like I used to be very focused on if I picked up a cup, like am I actually going to hold on to this or is this going to fall on the floor? Whereas now I don't really think about it. I just pick it up and go. And if it falls on the floor, it falls on the floor. But I think like when you're not actually focusing on it,
It's like not focusing on what could go wrong. So it's
yeah,
like you've
that's
changed your focus. And for you,
less pessimistic.
Yeah, it's like for you that it was just the little things. Keeping hold of a cup
Hmm.
was, something you had to focus on, and you were focusing on, oh, but I don't want to drop this, don't want to drop this, and then you're almost telling your body to drop it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
It's amazing how that the relationship between the brain and the body is in that way.
yeah,
And I really, really did not appreciate that before. Like, well, obviously with your help and then reading things that you passed on to me and realizing what kind of impact I was having on the way that I was speaking to myself or thinking about things. So
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I'm glad I could help because I think I was just on the journey of realization of how I was talking to myself, and I was seeing it reflected in you too, and I was like, "Hey, don't do that! It's not
I
helpful."
think I know. And I think sometimes you don't realize you're doing it. Like somebody calling you on something, sometimes do you actually realize what you're doing?
Yeah,
And then even then it can be hard to accept that that's what you're doing and to change.
and now you are on a little journey into your crofting world.
Yes. So that's definitely a journey. That's there's a craft that's been in our family for 4 generations, and I guess I am just not willing to be the person that loses it. I'm determined that it's going to stay in the family. I mean, I've got so many people helping me, and I wouldn't be able to do any of it without them. But it's giving me something to focus on. I always knew how much I miss animals and even just being outdoors. There would be months where I wasn't outdoors before. And I was always quite an outdoors person. Like I wasn't exactly sporty, but I like being outdoors. And the craft and just trying to keep it going is what's giving me that, I guess, that boost as well. Yeah, and then the thought that like my great grandfather started things, so I'm like, it's just not going to end on my watch.
I think it's
And
amazing because it's like you're continuing on a legacy, and it's just being I remember when you were talking about, I think I'm gonna take on the croft, I just don't want to lose it. And I said, oh, it's funny, I had this vision of you driving up to the croft in a green pickup. And that was like way at the start. And then, lo and behold.
I know
It was
all
like
about it, a wee
it was
pickup
when you
now.
bought the green pickup. I was like, okay.
I remember you saying this to me that you'd had this, and I was just like
You're right.
stuck in the sofa thinking, aye, right, that's never going to happen. Like I couldn't even imagine at that point. I couldn't even imagine being able to drive again. And then once I started to feel a bit better, and I thought, oh, I can drive. Like I would never have, I would never drive if I didn't feel like I could.
Yeah.
And my sister was like, oh, well, maybe you should get like a little car or like a little like Polaris or something. I'm like, nope, I'm getting a pickup and I'm going to drive the pickup. So a few years ago, my dad passed away and I acquired his dog. And we are quite a sight, myself and Gwen, because I have my stick, obviously, and if I've not, well, previously I had a rollator or a mobility scooter, um, and Gwen's got 3 legs. So we're quite, then it was quite a sight seeing me like scooting along my mobility scooter with a 3-legged dog. And I did have to keep explaining to people that I hadn't actually run her over. That was not the reason that she had 3 legs. She's been a big part of my life for the past 3 years. And she's amazing because she just gets on with things. She doesn't let her 3 legs stop her at all. In actual fact, the injury that she had was so bad. We tried to keep her leg and it just wasn't happening. And then within like 2 days of amputating the leg, she was just like, oh, that's me. This is who I am now. And just, that's her. She doesn't, you can learn so much. Oh, I'm saying this to you. You can learn so much from animals.
Yep. She's a good
And
role model for you, isn't she?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I'm probably not a very good role model for her. At the moment, I'm sitting in the bedroom because she's watching my telly in the living room. Like,
And
that's
eating
not
biscuits.
normal.
Didn't you say she was eating biscuits?
I'm eating biscuits. Yeah, I was
Obviously,
worried that
dog
it would be a bit
biscuits.
too
She's not actually
crunchy.
having, she's not got the hobnobs out. She's actually eating the dog biscuits.
The dog biscuits, don't worry.
Yeah. She's
or
not
TV
got a cup
snack.
of tea sitting there.
We've not reached that point yet.
No. I don't know. It's just something I could see you two doing. That's just,
Yeah, rule nothing out.
yep. That's so nice. And
So
it's
my
so nice to
little
have
partner in crime.
that, yeah, your partner with, like the pair of you needed each other at that time. And, together you're just growing stronger and stronger. And I think like I've noticed that she helps you get out, when you were really struggling.
Mhm.
Gwen needs to go out. And even
Yeah,
at that stage, you were really still struggling with your mobility. You would bundle yourself up and get out the door and just
yeah.
make sure
Well,
that
we
she
wouldn't
got her
exactly go
time out.
far. That's
Yes.
it, exactly. Like I could walk maybe like 20 steps to the end of the ramp,
Yeah.
but that was what I needed to do so that she could get out. So that was all part of the process, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, she helped you build up your endurance because you started with 20 steps and then it just is built on
Keep
that.
going.
Yeah, it's like
Exactly,
a,
yeah.
a reason to help you keep moving as well, more than just your own
Yeah,
motivation.
exactly. Definitely. It's well, you know yourself when you get stared at. Like, well, we will be going out now, then, won't we?
Yep. There's no denying it. They're in charge.
Yeah, he's the boss.
Yep.
But yeah, when it was obviously it was really hard losing dad because he and I were very close. Um, so Gwen and I just helped each other through that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know like I remember for a wee while Gwen wouldn't eat after dad died, and I was like, I don't know what to feed her. And you sort of tuned into Gwen and you were like, she wants peas. I'm like, really? And you're like, yes. So I made like a thing of peas and I put it in the thing and she demolished it. And I was just like, how on earth was anybody meant to know that? And there was just like such a insight. And she was like, she was so happy.
To get her
Finally,
peace.
somebody actually, I just wanted peas. Yeah, yeah,
The animals are so funny because it's like sometimes I'm like, really? That's okay, fine. We're going with it. I'm not gonna
yep,
question it. You know.
yep. I remember you being like, right, put like some rose quartz beside her, and then you like tuned in, and then I thought you were going to tell me she was like massively depressed about dad, which I mean she must have been as well.
Yeah.
But like you were just like, yeah, she wants peas.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's some emotions in there and stuff too, but yeah, I just want some peace. I think it was like
Ultimately, yeah,
it was all affecting her gut. The emotions were that it does with us as well. Is that it was affecting her gut, and peas was what she was craving to help balance herself.
I ate a lot of cake. She wanted peas.
Yes, exactly. Well, she's very healthy. What can I say?
I should probably gone for the pea diet rather than the cake diet, but
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah, I think I'd want the cake. Peas are nice and all, but
Unfortunately, I've not stopped the cake diet for about 3 years though,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe it's
Yeah, I'm
time.
with you with that one.
I for a long time used to just describe my body as attacking itself all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was very helpful. Now, like looking back, now I
Well,
realise that it wasn't.
what's interesting is that quite often comes from doctors.
Yeah,
Oh, your body's attacking itself and you're not going to do very well. And, like they
yeah,
instead of giving you a diagnosis, they give you like a prognosis. And then
absolutely.
because you see a doctor as someone as authority, you end up like taking that on as right, that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
You create that. And it's like
Yeah,
when you can turn that around, they can diagnose you, but they can't give you a prognosis because everyone can heal. Everyone can change. Look at you. Everyone can change their
yeah,
circumstances.
that's so true. When I first became ill, like, oh, when was that? 17 years ago? The first doctor told me it was all in my head.
Nice.
That I just believed that I had something because my mum had been diagnosed with MS. And they were like worried that I would have MS. That was like they had to do these tests and whatnot. And yeah, that's what one of the doctors was just like, nah, it's just in your head. And I knew that there was something wrong with me. Like I knew that. But you end up fighting doctors and you fighting the medical system. And when you find a doctor that actually kind of understands, you're like, this is amazing. And doctors that are like, just do what you can do, and you know, build up what you can do, and be kind to yourself. Like there was doctors that were like that, and there was other doctors who were just absolutely hopeless.
I think it's when they don't understand and they don't actually have the answers or the cure.
Yeah,
It
I
they
think
find it really hard because they're like, well, I don't understand, so it must be just something to do with you rather than my inability to be able to, or the medical inability to be able to understand what's going on here.
yeah, I think so. I think there's so many things like well, even in the past few years it's become quite obvious with like long COVID and things like that that doctors do not understand, and some of them are not willing to admit that they don't know,
Yeah.
so they put it back on you.
Yeah, that's the worst thing is instead of saying, "Oh, look, I'm sorry, I don't know," it's like, "Well, it's
Hmm.
just something wrong with you," and then
Yeah,
you believe that you're the problem. And
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely,
there is something wrong with you, but you're the answer to you heal yourself as much as other people help you heal. It's your body and you yourself that ends up changing how you are and healing
absolutely,
yourself.
yeah,
It's
definitely,
very it's a difficult world in the medical community, I think, because there are new things coming to light, and even what I'm doing with the energy healing and things like that. Excuse me,
yeah,
is you know there's a place for the medical, the diagnosis, the all the help that they give people. There's no doubt about that, no doubt about it.
yeah,
But I think there's so much more that we as humanity don't even fully understand and
totally
appreciate
agree.
about how we can help ourselves and each other.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of like knowledge has been lost. So when you think like I don't know where we were brought up, like back in the day, back in my great grandfather's day at the cross, like they would have had all these different tinctures and things that they use and natural remedies, which I don't know, there's something about that phrase that annoys me. But anyway, things that are not just like have just been lost, you know, place for these things in the world.
Yeah.
But we kind of uh, sort of like medicine has taken over and pharmaceuticals have taken over in a way, and kind of there's this knowledge that went with previous generations. I don't know if that makes
No, I
sense.
agree. I agree. I think for me, because I've been researching and looking into this knowledge, it's not been
Yeah,
completely lost, but the faith in it has been lost. I think,
yes, I think completely.
and I completely understand, like when you're sick and you don't know what's going on, you go to a doctor to find out what's going on. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
totally get it. But beyond what they find out what's going on, there's extra things that you can look at that help you to heal, as well as the medical things that you're given too,
Yes, as well as
and
the sort of because undoubtedly there's conventional medicine that's absolutely helped me, and even if it's just to deal with like cope with symptoms, it has helped me.
yeah,
But there's also a reliance on it. I think
yeah,
it's
it's almost like you feel like if you don't have that medication, you won't feel good.
yeah,
It's like it's just yeah, I totally
yeah,
get it. And it's like I'd never ever say that you we can't, like, we could do it without medical help.
no,
I think it's just about a balance and a bit of respect between the two. And like you said, when you find the right doctor who has more knowledge and more openness to more than just what they have been taught in their medical school, I think that um, it's helpful. And even the way that they speak to their patients, they get, if they
yeah,
are giving prognosis. And we always talk about Alistair, my husband. He had posterior ligament surgery in his knee,
hmm,
and the guy said, well, you always have pain. And for a
yeah,
long time, he believed he would always have pain in his knee. And it took years to unprogram that
yeah,
belief that was put in him. And it's like,
yeah,
that's, you realize it's so, we're at a very vulnerable stage. You're a very vulnerable person when you're in front of a doctor because you're sick, injured, and you're looking
Yeah,
for someone to help you. How they say things and what they say to you is just so important. And I think
absolutely.
it's something that yeah, and it needs to be addressed.
And you're looking for help and you're looking to them for help. And there have been some doctors that have been really brilliant and they've said, like, "Well, you tell me what you've been doing and how it's helped you and whatnot." And then there's other doctors that have literally said to me, "You're just never going to get better."
Yeah.
And that's a really hard thing to be told.
Yeah.
Like that. And then I think I was just, "You're not telling me that." So,
Yeah. I mean, that's
you
great. I
know,
mean, it's great that you had the strength to turn around and go, well, that's not going to be my answer. Try again. But there's so many people. I mean, you hear it with the cancer stories. Well, you're going to die, and there's people that do die, and there's people that are just like, nope, and they're still going. It's just,
also, I think the people that are around you help you as well. If they help pick you up,
yeah,
from something being told something like that, or if everyone suddenly starts like mollycoddling you and like thinking, acting the same way that, oh, that's it, you're never getting better, then it'll be hard to pick yourself up and give yourself any kind of chance of
yeah,
improvement.
yeah,
I think.
yeah. It's that energy around you, your support, and they need to be support, not not just holding you in that space.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
You always explain things so much better than I do. I just like I feel like you're translating what I've said into
I
something
know.
makes sense.
It's just it's just because we think differently. So it'll be interesting. Some people listen to this podcast and listen to you be like, "Yes, I get it the way she said it. I have no idea what that other woman's saying." It's just like it just. That's the great thing about repeating yourself or me repeating what you're saying in a different way is it for different people it makes sense in the different ways it's said. So
I always think you're really good at explaining things. So in terms of energy and like blockages and all these different things, I had no clue about any of this before you helped me.
yeah,
Like, and even now, I'm like, I'll be watching TikTok and I'll see like I have like energy healers coming up and they'll be talking about different blockages or whatever. And I'm like, I know about this because Janet told me. And it's just like I've kind of opened my eyes into this whole new way of seeing things. And I know like, so if I've got a pain in my leg, for example, I try really hard to do what you taught me and like breathe into it and try and like disperse it. You're looking at me, you're probably saying, Rhoda, you're doing it all wrong.
no,
But
no, no.
I think of you and I think like, okay, it's not just a pain. It could be an energy block. Like we need to try
Yeah.
and move it. And I try and do it myself if I can. Or I'm like, Janet.
Yep.
But like I would never have even considered
Yeah.
that in the past.
It's just, I mean, we're energy bodies, and I think it's the way I see the world. So when people talk about how they're feeling and their struggles or their pain or stuff, and I'm always thinking, yeah, I just need to, it's just like the way I think about it as well. That's energy, so that's probably, and then just, but it's like
Yeah,
anything your body is telling you is just a message. It's like you've got pain down there. Well, it's a message that there's something not quite 100% down there. And so you just
yeah,
focusing your energy, breathing into it and just allowing your energy flow into it instead of quite often with pain, we can have a habit of going, ow, that's sore, block it out, and
yeah,
then
tensing and yeah.
you don't actually sort of allow your body to heal and deal with it.
Mhm.
Whereas if you breathe into it and then let it flow, sometimes it just like bursts that block, it just bursts the energy, it just allows the energy to go down there and just heal it,
Yeah,
especially if it's
yeah.
something very simple. Yeah.
Or other times you're like, just send me a message and it'll be like, breathe. I'm like, oh yeah, I've not actually taken a proper breath for like, you know, quite, that's when I realized that I've not breathing into my stomach and I've just been breathing in my chest. And the difference that it makes is quite incredible. But
Yeah.
until you actually try it, you don't realize.
Yeah, it's like you know, you'll send me a message and I can just like I can feel your energy and other people's energy through messages. So I know, I know what's going on. And I can just feel like I can't breathe. Yeah, I think she needs to breathe. It might be helpful. And you're like,
Yep,
oh, that's better. I didn't realize I was holding my breath, but we all do it. It's that way when everything feels like it's falling apart in front of you, you just stop breathing. It's bizarre. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I start yawning, and I guess that's part
That's
of the process as well. Eh?
Yeah, I think I bring that on in you a little bit, or we're very similar. So for me, releasing emotions and things that I've held on to, a yawn. And actually, I've
Yeah.
noticed the horses do it, the dogs do it.
Oh,
It's
really?
like, yeah, it's a very animalistic way of releasing.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to yawn now.
yeah,
Sorry.
see now so you're gonna make me yawn. So we're talking about it. But I wonder who else is yawning on our podcast.
Yes.
Hopefully not from
Sorry.
boredom. But it is like if you watch your animals, if they've had a stressful bit of time or something, they'll quite often, when they're fully releasing, they'll just give a yawn. Well,
I've just released it.
I really appreciate you coming on and talking about yourself and your journey. And I know we've only just touched on it, the most minutest bit, but I think it's incredible what you've been doing and working through, and just your pure love and positivity and determination to just keep going no matter what is just incredible. And it's just, I'm so proud of you. It's amazing to see you grow into this amazing woman who is just achieving what you want to achieve. It's just, and I know talking about yourself, having done the first podcast, which was really hard, it's not easy. Like it's really not easy, because you don't see yourself as doing anything quite as incredible as when someone, when you start talking about it, you're like, oh, actually.
I know. You're going to make me cry now. A large part of my journey's been down to you, though, Janet, and like everything you've taught me and helped me with. So, it's the people you surround yourself with as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So
I appreciate
important. Thank you.
that. No
I'm going to
problem.
cry now.
Anytime. Yeah, we'll just have our emotion. We're going to stop the podcast and then we're going to have a wee blub.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been amazing, and I think that a lot of people can learn a lot from you and what your journey and what you're going through. So amazing. Thank you.